有人说，动荡和离别是种不幸，怕的是巅峰不能复制。
要我说，领袖还在，队伍的精神就在。
有人说，老兵不死，但他的油箱里又剩多少燃料呢？
要我说，不必多虑，把每一场比赛都当作最后一场。
有人说，这是积累经验的舞台，年轻并不惧怕失败。
要我说，何必用年轻安慰自己？何不直接一鸣惊人？
有人说，行不通的就马上放弃，何苦消磨辉煌的过去呢？
要我说，没有成长的耐心，怎么等得来奇迹？
有人说，王权易主了，金色的时代已经过去。
要我说，即使兴亡还是争雄，传奇还将继续。
有人说，昙花一现只是惊喜，再励志的故事也会被遗忘。
要我说，那就一路笑到最后，做个真正的赢家。
有人说，翻过最高的山后，他们肯定会失去方向。
要我说，以后有人评价我时，我不想听到出道即巅峰。
有人说，天赋注定大革命，他们的强大只是幻象。
要我说，正确的五人走到一起，就会化身不死的凤凰。
要我说，
我们季后赛见。
And it's quarterfinals time here in the LPL as we return to Hangzhou for a spectacle of JDG versus RNG. The Beijing Derby returns in an away arena as we welcome Nara, of course, to the stage. For the past 2 days, we have seen players come and go, two teams we had not expected. And as Nara welcomes us back, I'd like to also welcome Mr. Clemenchu back as well.
It's so good to be back with you here. RNG in playoff time. This is all that we've been waiting for. They always play up to the occasion. They had such a wonderful run in 2018, and now they're here to start it once again.
Of course, we return to the stage once again. Zoom, Yagao, Imp, LvMao, and of course with people on JDG going, all right, well, what's this team about? Upsetting WE 3-1. They deserve to be standing here.
No one really expected that to happen whatsoever. JD Gaming coming in as the last seed of playoffs, surprises the world, taking down WE, and they did it in a fashion that no one really expected. Imp was a star player that series. He actually took down Mystic in the laning phase and allowed JD Gaming to reverse the game plan that we set up for them.
And of course, I forgot to introduce Captain, Mr. Flawless in the jungle there as well, so I do apologize. But we'll switch over to RNG because as they enter, this is their first matchup coming into playoffs here for 2019.
And what a good 2018 it has been. MSI, Asian Games, only really faltering during Worlds. And that is a big chip on this team. They were so close to winning it all, to going the distance, but it didn't happen. And this is where the story starts anew once more.
Karsa, Xiaohu, Uzi, and Ming on the stage. You saw Zatai actually already sitting down. He doesn't want any part of this. But RNG starting up with Zatai here today, so it makes perfect sense. Of course, Karsa's been playing all spring split as well. We have not seen nor hide nor hair of Mr. MLXG. Karsa's been having a pretty good split so far as well, Clement.
Yeah, this is, we hear the teams just calling out each other. You know, RNG already looking ahead to the matchup with FBX. Some pretty brazen words right there from Karsa. Like you were saying, he's having a great split. MLXG has not been sharing that position for him, and he's really been the best performing player on this Royal Never Give Up roster.
It's been a big reason why we've been talking him up. Welcome back to the desk, however. The LPL moves into its quarterfinals. My name's Jenkins Penga. This is Mr. Clemenchu. RNG, JDG, our first matchup today, but we continue on with playoffs with new expectations for these new teams creating lines in the sand.
We should say it should be shattered expectations because no one really saw the results coming from our round of one. We're talking about the lowest two seeds taking down EDG and WE, the teams with so much pedigree and history in the LPL, just vanishing in an instant.
That's right, and in that round one, it was so crucial. We talked about the impact of side selection for Sun and Dragon that came more into favor. 3-0ing EDG was an astounding performance by the newbies.
Nobody really saw that coming, and it really shows you the importance of adapting your band pick in the BO5 series. both teams, WE and EDG, failed to come out with the correct answer with how the series were going, and now they're left in the dust.
But of course, Clement and I are taking you through the left side of the bracket here, with the two-sided gauntlet with best of fives all throughout. Now moving into the quarterfinals, this is where security was for RNG. Their finish as 4th seed in the regular season has put them up against JDG, an unlikely matchup we didn't expect to get here. So let's just break it down with how JDG got here. The support of Jingdong Gaming. My lord, did LvMao have a goddamn good series.
LvMao, you saw him in the intro right there. He said, as long as the team leader is still there, the spirit stays with it. And that's what he showcased on his series versus WE. Taking the initiations into his own hand, winning games 1, 3, and 4 with all above 80% kill participation, and he nailed down the initiation. Once JD Gaming got a lead in those lanes, they always had an ability to close out because of him just jumping out with that fiddlesticks out of the shadows.
Yeah, let's look at Rakan, let's look at Alistar another time, because Fiddlesticks takes priority, and the party man himself cleaned house with WE and was the sole reason I would say that game came to a close the way it did.
He is the best Fiddlesticks in the LPL. We really haven't seen anything like him. Playing around Vision so well, surprising the enemy team, and we knew that JD Gaming might have a lead in the early game, but we thought W could come back with Mystic and those hyper carries in the late game. LvMao shut that down. He also introduced a really nifty combo, as we see here. We call it the jump scare, as he goes in with the Terrify, puts the plasma stack down onto Xayah, and that allows a killer instincts from Imp to instantly finish off the target.
You know what it was making me say to WE? Do not look in the sewer. You know, you're not a child, you're not curious, you're not wondering if the clown is really down there. It's not it. And at this point, you're saying LvMao played so darn well as that clown that no matter what would have happened, W were going to look anyway.
Down here, everyone floats, and that's what LvMao told Xayah, catching him out multiple times and actually coming back from behind the enemy composition. LvMao was our star performer and the main reason that JD Gaming was able to upset and take down WE.
Playing the surprise party Fiddlesticks, he may not get the same surprise away going up against Royal Never Give Up. Their first debut here in the playoffs for spring 2019, and it's not going to be a case of surprise. What's going on? I'm going to catch you unaware. How about that? RNG more to the wiser, as Ming has been a star, and going up against another world-class support like Ming is going to be a hard task.
And what RNG really does best is that they're the king of engages. If you give Ming an Alistar, which is their go-to blue side first pick, then he will break your team open. He'll get that triple man headbutt pulverize combo. The same thing with Karsa and his amazing J as well. They're so good on the initiations. They really understand how to break team fights apart and take them piecemeal. So don't give RNG their tools. That's the thing that they're most familiar with, and if they have it, they can always make miracles happen.
And although there's a lot of talk about the initiations and how Karsa has had such a good early game, which we'll touch on a bit later, there's one thing that stays the same here with RNG. Clement, water is still wet, and Uzi is still Uzi.
Now, to be fair, Uzi has been having an off split. His damage share is actually in the bottom half of the league right now, but his laning phase is still dominant. The Mad Dog is still the top dog when it comes to laning phase. #1 in GD at 15 and CSD at 15. You still expect RNG to play through the bot side early game and still play Raise the Puppy.
His CS a minute still averaging over 10 is an insane stat to have all through 10 weeks of the LPL when you have 16 teams in the league, mind you. But what sets him up even further, if Uzi may be failing towards team fights and not as prominent as he was in the 2018 Golden Run year, we can rely on Karsa because this highlight of the team has been playing miraculously.
And just look at that kill participation. There's no team that relies on their jungler more than RNG. Karsa lets you play so many styles. Even if your lanes are supposed to be behind, he can patch that up with you with just his individual early game performance. In the 2v2s, he's just so damn good. He has the #1 GD at 15 among junglers, always being able to find the correct trades, the correct kills to pull them through the early game. And if that doesn't work, he also is very good in the team fighting phase as well. He really has the full repertoire. It used to be only one side in the flash rolls, but on RNG this year, with no one sharing the starting spot, our Karsa has really begun to shine. You can see this game, BLG versus RNG, game 3, best game of his career on the Zac, finding multiple engages and just shutting down the backline carries coming out from Jinzhao.
You can see how clean their team fighting has become off the back of someone like Karsa having a miraculous split. The cleaner team fighting for RNG has always been the go-to as the team fighting kings, we've called them in the past. But while you have someone like Karsa, you're also playing with someone like Amazing Jay. And although his team fights were good, he was still kind of a downturn towards RNG. Zhetai is back into this roster, but there's another element as well that we have to go for. LvMao is still in this roster, so we have 3 top laners to play through. And off that, I'm just going to jump straight into it, Clement. Because of this triple threat top lane, that's right, LvMao, triple threat. RNG just looked too damn good. I know people want the chaos to continue, but I'm going to say one thing right here. Get this, no, keep on this cap. The chaos ends here. RNG are going to win this. It has to go back to normality, Clement.
Yeah, at least someone's going to be right on the analyst test because we have both analysts going for different teams. However, I'm going to go for RNG 3-1. I think recently, though, JD Gaming had a good set against him. That was playing against Amazing Jay, and the way this setup has gone, it's been top side for bot side. I feel like Zhetai stepping in the roster, he's going to be able to have those unique champion picks to stand up to Zoom, and then the bot side should take over for RNG.
Honestly, I'm not too surprised at Niberia's jump ship, though. All of us were going for RNG, and it's surprising that Raz is not the flip-flopper, but more surprising indeed that we do not see more of us going for JDG. After what's happened so far, JDG beating WE, Dragon cleaning the floor with EDG, you would think that the upsets will continue, but on the back of this roster, it's harder to admit. Zhetai in the top lane, Karsa in jungle, Xiaohu mid, Uzi and Ming, your bottom lane duo as always.
Zhetai going for the 8th straight start on the RNG roster. We haven't since Amazing Jay since Zhetai has came back from the starter position.
That's exactly right. Remember, I'm so hyped that LvMao is not inactive since week 9. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but let's go to JDG. Zoom into your top lane, flawless in the jungle starting off. Yagao, Imp, who had a great series against WE, and LvMao, who had an even better one.
The man in the middle is really my highlight of the matchup right now because Yagao historically has had a field day with Xiaohu. That matchup has not gone well for Xiaohu whatsoever. Yagao broke the damage share records on Zoe against, guess who? Xiaohu.
Yep.
He also had a 6-1-9 game against Xiaohu in their recent matchup. Him playing the Syndra against the Rise coming out from the mid laner in RNG. So that's one where I feel like the solo lane power is really represented for JD Gaming. They traditionally have been known as the kryptonite to RNG, splitting their series 3-3. No other team has been able to do that.
Yeah, no other team has been able to stand up to RNG. The regular season was not as dominant, but remember for RNG, when it does come into playoffs, it's a very different team. It's like RNG just turn on miraculously and everything seems to be all right. In 2018, this was the face that you were questioning, but no longer.
Oh, damn, and just look at the stats right here. Successful gank, 71%, the highest in the LPL. He is super efficient with that. Kills plus assists, only second to 10 in the league as well. Sees more early action than most entire teams there, and he's also very good on the engages. He keeps you steady in the early game, and then he can also find you utility in the later phases. I think Karsa is the best jungler playing in the world right now.
I think we've had many more people say that exact statement. The best jungler in the world, by far the best performing jungler in the LPL currently. And as we move into 9.6 again, keep this in the back of your mind that the jungle pool is still wide open as ever. There are still so many possibilities, and Karsa just has such a wide plethora of champions. But then again, so does this support. This support who shocked and awed against WE.
And this is going to be such a fun matchup between Ming and LvMao. They really share similar champion pools. Top 3 champions, Alistar, Galio, and Rakan. That's the exact same 3 top champions coming out on the side of Ming. They're both engage heavy supports. They like to roam around a lot, and you should expect them to be the first one in the team fights.
And you can expect that there's going to be priority over supports here in this series. LvMao and Ming both play Alistar to a fantastic level. So that being your first priority is Uzi. It's hot in the venue.
Yeah.
I can sense it. It's hot here. It's hot there. I mean, you got to cool down some way.
Yeah, the Uzi is actually known as shower dog by the community because he does get overheated quite easily.
I'm glad you explained that.
Yeah, see, we can see that. He's the only one currently just making sure that his headphones don't slip off his face.
I will say, having come to China as well, I now use a tissue over the mouse because I just sweat so profusely here in this country. So I completely understand. But, you know, you've got to cool down before this series. This is a big one for RNG. My previous point was, no, never mind. Never mind, Club, let's talk about that.
That's just Xiaohu saying his eyes are big and round. I have no idea where that's coming from.
That?
But my guess is that that's just the community making fun of the size of his eyes, but then him just stretching it open and showcasing that, you know what? I'm alert. Yep. I'm watching out for the team as well.
He's had some questionable games, but he's had some very alert games by that motto as well. We'll take a quick look at Ming, because remember how I talked about the Alistar priority here in this series? 11-4 on that champion, the most played Alistar in the league.
And his roaming stats are really good as well. 2.4 kills by the 15 minutes participated. So not only is he keeping Uzi alive in the lane, a lot of times he's linking up with Karsa as well. And these Royal never give up memeing. That's the team name they should change to.
They've come out in droves here today. And it's the quarterfinals, so you can expect them to be playing it light. But against JDG and against this man at the top lane, I wouldn't be getting the same feeling. I'd be nervous if you're an RNG fan.
Last time Zoom played up against Amazing J, he was up in the lane by 70 CS and pretty much single-handedly carried that game to a win. So if JD Gaming are going to win today, it is going to come from the top side, and this is the man that's going to do it.
How they funnel their resources into Zoom. If you weren't there for the JDG WE discussion, it was heavily about how they funnel gold, how they funnel priority up towards the top side of the map. But you have Zetai, a very different top laner than Amazing J.
Zetai is known for his flex pick potential. That's why you get Zetai on the roster. He's not purely utility. He's not a blue-collar top laner. He plays a lot of carries. And in his last 7 games, he's played a different champion every single time. Taking the Ryze, taking the Vladimir, taking things like the Kale, it's going to be much harder to just shut him down. Amazing J, you know who he's going to play, Poppy or Urgot. Yep. That's it. So it's very easy to counter out his matchups, but that's not the same thing for Zetai.
The only way I see these champion pools overlapping in the top lane, because that's been primarily about the discussion so far, is the Yorick being a priority there for Zetai. At the moment, yes, the Kale diversifies him quite a lot, but let's move away from that a little bit, because in this matchup, there is something that needs to be said, and that is in 2018, RNG didn't drop more than 8 individual games in playoffs. Now, that might seem like a lot, but not dropping an entire series in playoffs in 2018, that is their monstrous force.
Yeah, they won all the way. They were champions in both spring and summer, the most successful, and I would call them the most popular team in China. Still, a lot of their fan base does come from the fact that they got a full Chinese roster. They were like, we're not using Korean imports. We're going to run along with this strategy, and that has garnered them so many respect. I think RNG are the spearhead of this franchising era and how to rebuild what was the shatters of 2015, the ruins of 2015, and make LPL great once more.
I remember, you know, Uzi jumped around from OMG and, you know, coming back to Royal Club. There needed to be some faith reinstilled on this roster. You're in 2019, a much later portion where Uzi is the player for RNG. There's no more question. There's no question as to whether he's going to leave or whether that roster just departs completely. You're looking for the strength here in the quarterfinal. And this is where the run truly starts. Quarterfinals are not where you think RNG would finish, nor end up. It is, however, you're thinking, JDG, you've had the miracle run so far, but there's got to be something that stops you. And it is that team fighting that we talked about for RNG that looks like it could outclass JDG.
And one of the reasons that JD Gaming actually has been able to take games against RNG is because their teamfight style, while is much more hectic. Like, RNG actually likes to set up their team fights. They know which side they're coming from. They want to be the ones that are initiating on you. But JD Gaming plays so fast and so hectic that they rarely give RNG the chance. RNG, a lot of those times, they're still deciding if they want to commit to a team fight after it's already happened. Yep. And JD Gaming have them on the run. So that's the big issue for me. The way I see this matchup going, if the past has been any mirror to look upon, it's been that JD Gaming win the early game through their solo lanes and then try to outpressure, try to outpace RNG. Well, if RNG, they can stay steady and go towards the later phases with Uzi leading the damage charts, then they have a very clean chance at taking down the series.
I remember talking to you off the set about a day ago where you said that for RNG, about displacing these team fights has been a big priority and been a big way that they've looked to outmatch their opponents. Even the 2v5 clip we saw previously of Uzi and Xiaohu just demolishing a team fight by themselves. It came into that point where you're saying, well, they're just outclassing, plain and simple.
And this is what everyone is here to look for, because RNG are the most explosive team. They are the most heroic team with the best plays when it matters the most. RNG shows up big when the limelight is on, and they always play up.
Let's see, the series begins, quarterfinals in fact begins here with champion select and game number 1. Interesting bans already to take your attention down to RNG on the blue side, kicking things off. Remember, there's no seed selection here as we're into the quarterfinals, so it is going to be alternated, but you can already see the Zoe here being banned away.
And like I was saying, Yagao historically has had a very good matchup against Xiaohu, so you don't want to give him his best champions. Taking away the LeBlanc and Zoe provides Xiaohu with a bit more breathing space, and it also means that JD Gaming don't have that runaway potential when Yagao is snowballed in the lane.
That's right, Yagao also plays LeBlanc, remember, and that's been a safe blind, so that's banned away as well. But the Rek'Sai, the first pick up here, you might have missed out, but Karsa has played some punishing games with that. So good to see the grand return here in game number 1, but Imp, safety first, and same with Yagao and the Syndra.
Ooh, Syndra has been a go-to pick in this matchup against Xiaohu. They just are calling out his champion pool. They're saying, you know what, Xiaohu, we don't think you actually play that many champions. The typical response we'd see for someone like here is actually to go for something like the Corki that can disengage post 6. It's very hard to actually get the full channel of the ultimate down. But now RNG, what I want them to see them do is actually go for a punishing strategy in the bot lane. WE did not go for a strong counter bot lane against the Karsa, against JD Gaming, and I think RNG should pick that up. There's so many strong lane AD carries right now. We saw the Ashe yesterday from Kingzone. Xayah Rakan is on everyone's mind in patch 9.6, and I love that they're going for it right now.
It also denies LvMao, so a big purpose to that from Ming, and Ming was such a great Rakan in 2018 as well. The engaged champion suits the style of the composition, suits the style of the team style of RNG, and specifically seeing a Leona.
Wow. This is so fun. So this is a kill combination that we've seen popularized by Chris and LWX from FPX. The thought behind this is that you can proc multiple times with Sunlight and the Cathian Rain. So you can do massive amounts of burst damage, and Leona is one of the hardest counters to Rakan in the bot lane. We've seen this combination work before. EDGs ran it, FPX ran it before. They came prepared. They knew what RNG was going to present to them.
And you can see it's already been picked twice here in the LPL, but 0% win rate. LvMao looking to start this one off with a bang. JDG on the red side, however, they start looking at what is going to be utilized in this composition. Xayah, Rakan, we know what they do in the 2v2. We also know what they do in a team fight. So the Rise was a no-brainer from JDG.
Yeah, Rise is just one of those tools that RNG work around so well. The Realm Orb allowing to take their teams to different places, set up the engages that they want. So I like taking that away from the toolbox. It's also a flex pick that can go both to Zatai and to Xiaohu in the solo lane. So just taking away all the possible options. And what we're going to see right here, I think JD Gaming are going to pick up their jungle pick right now with the combination they're going for. I think Jarvan is one of those big ones, but of course, still banned away. I think they're considering the Lee Sin or the Kindred right now.
We get rid of the Nocturne here because it's been a big one, but no, the Nah. Ooh. The final pick up there and has been played here in the LPL a couple of times now.
Zoom played it already.
That's right. But Zoom even banning away the Yorick was my biggest question mark here, being more threatened to it by Zatai. They opt in for something that can insinuate those team fights as well. Zoom is going to be the Kennen up in that top lane.
So there aren't a lot of good counters to the Kennen. What we've seen before is Vladimir, if both are going AP, you can get a little bit out of it, or you go for something even more all-in like the Aurelia.
Do you look at the Jace in that top lane for someone like Zoom?
So I don't think RNG necessarily is going to play for the Jace. I think it's a little too risky with their style. Their strongest point is still in the 5v5 team fight, and I think that's why they're still locking onto the Ornn.
Okay, makes perfect sense here. You're exactly right. It's almost like we got Let Me for game 1 anyway. So for Zatai picking that up, it's going to be quite passive in the top lane. But the biggest surprise for you here is seeing Xiaohu on the Taliyah mid.
Yeah, so this is a champion that's been rising in popularity. We see on Korean Challenger right now one of the highest win rate picks, and it's just because all of the lane counters that exist in the mid lane aren't as strong as before. Aatrox has been going down, Aurelia's not really there, Akali has been nerfed, so her ability to just play safe and push out the lane is still definitely there. I think that's the main thought behind it. I also like showing it for Xiaohu early because this is a champion that Karsa also picks. So you're planting that seed of a flex pick into JD Gaming's mind.
That's right, you can play around that for RNG. You can also play around the fact that you know, as JDG pick up this Lee Sin, that they are going to have themselves a 2v2 through that mid lane. Flawless, one of his best champions, is the Lee Sin, but it has been rare that we see it into the Rek'Sai matchup.
There's so much burst damage in that mid-jungle 2v2. It's really going to come down to can Karsa actually flash scatter the weak coming out from Yagao. If he can do that, they should be able to knock down a kill with the Taliyah combo. If he misses, however, the Lee Sin coming in, Flawless's best champion, could very well wipe the 2v2. I love what both sides are going for right here. So smart from Coach Home, showing the Kaisa and dangling that counter pick later on to come in and counter the Rakan. They came in prepared, and for me, I actually see them having 3 winning lanes across the board.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, for RNG, remember that the early game needed to be quelled on JDG's side so that RNG could move towards those fights in this game 1 composition straight away. I just want to bring your attention to the bottom lane because we hyped up that this was the reunion of Uzi and Imp. Since 2015 Spring Playoffs, now they've versed before, Clement. You know, you don't have to give me that sweet and sour look. They've versed before. But since 2015 playoffs, where Imp was on LGD and Uzi was over on OMG, this is their first reunion in playoffs. And it has been 4 years, precisely, since we've had this exact matchup. Uzi and Ming on the Xayah Rakan. Imp and LvMao on the Karsa and the Leona. The 2v2 down there is going to be explosive. We know how powerful a Karsa can be if underestimated early, but the Xayah Rakan, the level 2, is powerful as well. As they reunite on Summoner's Rift here in the quarterfinals, once again, the question will rise if revenge is really there after all this time, or if Uzi has what it takes to shut him down, this time being on RNG. LGD #1. Well, I'll argue against that because they are definitely not.
Hey, come on. LGD did show up to playoffs. Did you see the player walkouts? They were standing on LGD's logo.
Yeah.
It is in Hangzhou. We're being that the playoffs is being held right now, all the way up until finals at least.
Yeah, that's right. We're just gonna move on from LGD apparently because that was a.
They can take a joke. They're pretty good on Twitter.
Yeah, no.
Go follow them, by the way.
actually, one of the best social medias. As LvMao and Imp just going to be spotted out. Now, we're not going to see any crazy lane swaps here in this very first game of quarterfinals as we saw last night from the Splice bottom lane.
Yeah, but just to note out, RNG, like they typically do actually start with the sweeper earlier on. They did not find a ward out, but I'm really curious on which path they actually cleared. It could be a potential gank path that they wanted to open up, especially for the bot side. We've seen tons of level 2 ganks coming out from blue side Karsa.
Yeah, we really, really have, especially when you have the red side started there from Flawless. Very interesting jungle paths to take note of here in this early game. You have an Infernal to keep in the back of your mind, but it's going to be an opposite matchup here for the jungles in the first 5 minutes. But LvMao, that's a bit ambitious, of course, after shotgun, and they get a lot of the damage.
And he's just trying to trade the HP away from RNG's bot lane. If you look at Lee Sin's route, he will be arriving in the bot lane after he takes a blue buff.
Yep.
Really smart by Karsa, actually going there preemptively to make sure Lee Sin has a hard time getting in this route. And if RNG can get a vertical jungle going, I think it's much more in their favor because JD Gaming's running a kill lane in their bot side. They want the jungler there to make kills happen. You can negate that if you actually scout out where Flawless is coming from.
I think you know he is there now because the blue buff hasn't been spotted, or maybe he thought it was taken. Prey Seeker there to spot out, but the Ghost Borer gets Karsa in the mid lane. as he has an unborrowed, he's just going to keep pushing it up with the help of Xiaohu. But Flawless negating that early vertical jungle path, so it's good for the Lee Sin here of JDG.
Yeah, the Rek'Sai definitely knows that the Lee Sin is in that quadrant. They did know that the top lane started with a leash, so they should be able to expect that. Karsa right now is just using the mid lane push to get the double scuttle start, get himself set up quite well. And I want to point out that the rune choice from Imp, he is going to go for the press the attack. So this is a lot more burst combination than the fleet footwork. Remember, this is a kill lane. We don't typically think of Xayah as having a strong laning phase, but when she's paired up with the Leona, the Zenith Blade can follow the Rakan after he uses Battle Dance. So it becomes a kill lane because of how those skills interact.
But you're hoping for that level 6 mark as well, remembering that Ming would probably be the one to lock down in this lane. LvMao and Imp already forced all the way back to their turret, and that's just the power of Xayah Rakan at the level 2. And what's Flawless going to find here, though, Clement? Ming walking in blind. Flawless level 3 versus level 3. Ming might have to just escape. Gets a Gleaming Quill. Sonic Wave. Resonating Strike. Not this time here from the Lee Sin.
Pretty interesting start from the Lee Sin. He definitely knew that Karsa was not in that quadrant, but still setting up, knowing that Rakan would walk straight into this trap. They also have priority over the mid lane, so just trying to get a little bit of damage. But that did take a bit of time. If you look at Karsa's route, he's already up by 2 camps, and he's coming back on the map once more. So I have to say I'm not exactly sure if this move from Flawless is really worth it. It's more about setting up the bot lane for JD Gaming to play aggressive.
Oh, Karsa, very good opting out of the vision, or rather avoiding that from Flawless. Ooh. Walking down to bottom side, he's level 4, and remember, that's a slow wave that's pushing against RNG.
Yeah. Who's a sneaky boy right here? If LvMao goes in, he's going to die.
I think they spotted him out. Yeah,
there are pings.
They spotted him out, so Karsa unlucky there. Half a second earlier, would have found his way into the brush with no effect. But the slow wave's still going to push against them. Looks like RNG are just going to eventually opt out.
Yeah, but he's going to be wasting a lot of time here. Just sitting here for 30 seconds. They're finally going to go in.
Here, Chilling's mind flashed up. They commit anyway. This is not good from JDG. They have to opt in for the flash themselves. RNG pull the trigger. Quick, swift move from the bottom lane.
Definitely still a win for RNG. They trade 1 flash for 2 flashes there. So even though Karsa was spotted, spent a lot of time, the result is still good. And if you look at this minion wave, it should still be pushing into... it's about even. It's about even.
Okay. Flawless will come down anyway, see if he can get a response here in this early game. JDG relying on this Lee Sin as you normally would, but they're going to spot out Karsa back at Krugs. Flawless then opts in for the Raptors, while Xiaohu is getting pushed against his turret.
And if you just look at the items right here, Karsa's itemization is for gankings in the lane, while Flawless is trying to solo you out. He's got the Conquerors in double longsword, so this Rek'Sai doesn't really want to walk into Flawless.
Oh. Flawless didn't have his smite available. Karsa steals the most important chicken of them all.
Yeah, and he does say thank you, continues on with his path. I thought his path was unoptimized, but I'm wrong, sorry.
I wouldn't be surprised if Colonel pops up in 5 seconds just to say a bit of a g'day and well done. That was pretty nice there from Karsa. Is a level up on Flawless as well, and now the 3rd scuttle is going to be contested.
Yeah, he does have full Rage Bard, but Zoom is coming down. I don't think Flawless can take this.
Oh, can he dodge away from the side? Chubb has to flash. Flawless in a bad position, but RNG running over this map. Now, Yagao has level 6, but Xiaohu does as well, and as the tie comes back in, they don't want to fight for Call of the Forge God. And it should just be Karsa's scuttle once everything resets.
That really just showcased that RNG displays better synergy between their lanes and junglers compared to JD Gaming. Now, Yagao has had priority throughout this laning phase, but right in that tick, it did not happen.
Oh, Uzi might have been caught out here, though. Clement level 5. Remember, here comes the ultimate in the mid lane, or rather in the top side. Zoom finds first blood. RNG committed so hard for the Scuttle Crab, and Yagao, if he's not a response, well, the Bellows Breath will make sure of it, but already 2 for 1 for JDG. They stick around for long enough, and Flawless is going to find a Sonic Wave. Get ready. Here comes the safeguard over the wall. Not going to commit this time. Doesn't matter. JDG pick up first blood and another kill on top.
Yeah, massive win for JD Gaming right there. That's a 2 for 1 trade in JD Gaming's favor, while the bot lane, it did seem a bit more beneficial on RNG's side.
Yep.
I was wondering what happened right there, but it did look like Kennen from Zoom able to roam down faster and at least get a double on that Maelstrom. We're going to watch this again. They do pick up the scuttle, but great scatter of the week. Good target selection from JD Gaming, instantly bursting down Karsa. He did 0 damage right there, and the rest of it was a 3v2 where JD Gaming's solo members are able to take the fight. We were talking about this in pregame. The general game plan is that JD Gaming takes the win in the solo lanes and tries to snowball top.
Zoom getting that kill as well. Let's not forget that the proto belt here is nice and early for the Kennen in the top lane. Karsa going to be spotted out by Ward now as well. Just has to clear that one. Yagao playing super safe here in the mid lane after the catastrophe small moment. That's not even English. Let's just call it what it is for RNG getting caught out in that topside river. Let me securing more vision as he returns to lane, and for JDG, yes, the early game looking a bit better now with that small gold lead.
And it's really detrimental that Zoom's going to get this lead this early on. He's still holding on to his teleport while there is no TP coming out from Zetai's side. That means that even if RNG have a CS lead, they should not be able to push it. They always have to think about the potential teleport down, coming in from Zoom and just picking up Uzi.
2 wards there to spot out Xiaohu. You are not blind, so this will expire now as well. Now understand what they've done. Very good early warding here from JDG. One still in front of the dragon that is plain and simple to see if you have a control ward. But RNG going between brushes. Karsa will be spotted out now as well by perfect positioning ward from Imp. So Karsa just going to have to back away again.
Yep, JD Gaming doing a great job on reading RNG's plays, and to be fair, we all knew what RNG was going to do. Look at that bot side vision control. They're very willing to just trade away the top side to get bot lane control. They know that Uzi's going to carry them in the late game, so that's what they're banking on now.
Uzi has a small CS lead as well. We'll call it
pretty big. It's a 23 CS
big
lead.
I don't know what small is anymore. I call it a small skirmish in the top side. Size and differences here for RNG in this bottom lane. That is almost a 30 CS lead. So yes, it is quite large, you're right, Clement. And Uzi in a very good position and has gone for the Caulfield's Warhammer, the pickaxe first. Probably going to be the Essence Reaver, as iBoy wasn't sure how to build that one last night. Or is that too soon?
Did get a lot of flack from the community yesterday, building the BF sword first and then going into the Essence Reaver, which is a very long delay on his build.
It is.
However, there are still some, at least some former EDG members doing well. Kingzone yesterday with Pawn and Deft taking the 3-0.
Right.
So EDG fans, there's still something to cheer for.
What was that big stomp yesterday? It was LvMao. Solar Flare incoming as he'll just be chased out by Uzi, who will not find the root caller. And as he walks away.
You try to get that Solar Flare down onto Ming, but very fast reaction time. Instantly does the battle dance and just completely whiffs the ultimate there. That's a very favorable trade for RNG's bot lane.
Not surprised he's still sticking around here, though, as Flaw's going to Sonic Wave into the Infernal Dragon. Just going to reset the Dragon's not even sure if he should go up or down, but Flawless is sure he should get out of there as Yagao. He's going to give him a bit of support, resetting the jungle, going back in, and still setting up for what is now 10 minutes with no dragon taken, being contested well here by JDG.
You know, if there's one thing Karsa did do quite well is that he completely shut down the kill lane from JD Gaming. There's been no success, no ganks into this area, and JD Gaming actually, I would say I'm not sure about this vision that they've placed because it's a lot of gold sunk, and they can't really contest it. Look at how far the bot lane is being pushed in. They just put 3 control wards down in this area, and they didn't even last a minute. I honestly think that vision play from JD Gaming was a bit questionable. I don't think it was actually totally worth it to sink in the control wards, especially into the river itself.
Okay, at least they're getting control wards down, however, and they know that the river is a very dangerous position. Scuttlecrab's going to help a lot with that, though, so now for more control wards in hand for someone like Flawless and Yagao. They start putting it around the blue buff from Yagao. As he puts it down, he gets caught out. Seismic shovel. That's so easy from RNG. Straight back to the Infernal Dragon, and that's it.
And you just don't expect the roams coming down. That was such a good find by Zetai. Yagao was trying to cheat towards the Baron, but that was his doom. But in comes Zoom.
Teleport play from RNG. They're going to give up the Infernal Dragon. Not willing to fight over it. Karsa looking to reposition. They finally engage. It's a flash in from Ming. The Solar Flare locks on down, but Uzi dodges away. The Blade Claw available. Oop runs in front. Down for the heal. Kicked on back. Disengaged from Flawless. Seismic Shot misses. All flashes all around. Zetai comes in as well. The Weaver's Wall cuts them off. How do you get out? Impacts the flash. LvMao with no mana. Flawless around. Gets the safeguard. But the Leona will go back to the skies as she sacrifices her life for JDG.
Massive win for RNG, and they should be able to pick up the loot that's left on the table. The bot lane, they should get a very strong pick down, and that kill distribution also super favorable. Xiaohu picking up the kills, and Uzi a piece too.
That's right. Kill on the Taliyah and on the Xayah means one thing and one thing only. That first item after this back, at least, should be coming through from Uzi. That's right, Essence Reaver at 12-minute mark. A very good start here for the Xayah Rakan bottom lane.
That was such a good move by Ming right there, because he negated everything that Zoom could possibly do. He went in on the initiation first, and there was no mouse from Captain at all during this entire fight. Zoom was instantly out of there. He could not peel for the rest of the team, and it all came down to Ming recognizing that what he was about to do, instantly throws the engage down, forces everything away from the Kennen. And look right here, he's not even able to throw his Razor Shurikens, completely zoned out of the fight. This is what I was talking about when we were talking about RNG team fights. They are the masters at breaking away enemy formations and sectioning the team fights to an advantage on their own side.
And you look at how much control they've taken in this early game. While not a gold lead, the Rift Herald is going to show you something special about RNG, and that is the ability to open up these turrets. 40 seconds remaining. Let's see if Karsa uses this straight away, get some of that gold onto Xiaohu or onto Uzi and Ming as they move to the top side and are now looking for this turret race that Flawless has joined in on.
Yep, but RNG are starting from a very far behind position, not even hitting the tower so far, so the race is on, and I actually have my bets on JD Gaming taking the first brick.
Karsa's coming up here as well. You might be right, Clement. Ripto are going to get a mighty chunk off, but however, Rakan hitting this pretty fast. Ball's going to stick around. JDG over to one. I think JDG do pick this up, however. Flawless knocks it down first, and Uzi and Ming shortly behind afterwards.
Yep, several auto attacks away, but they're also zoning out Zoom from the top lane. No CS being taken right here. The same thing actually happening for Zatai. He's not willing to stand around, knows that there is a potential 3v1
There's a five-man in the top lane. Riptail's going to get another charge. Zoom caught out, slicing Maelstrom. In comes the quickness again, and how quick it really was. RNG draw LvMao into false space. Flawless finds himself in there with kick available, but disengages. Riptail just knocking away at the turret, but good from Flawless. He forces the disengage and gets a kill onto Ming.
Instant burst damage coming out from RNG. They take up the kill in a large portion of that tower's
health.
Oh
no, Uzi's by himself, fighting away for his strike. Dragon's Rage is available. Flawless not willing to commit with LvMao, who doesn't have the Solar Flare.
Yeah, they're really afraid of Zatai. He still has Call of the Forge God in hand, so not an easy engage as they would have expected. Also, LvMao already used his Solar Flare in the previous engagement. However, JD Gaming do have their run of the map.
Oh, they're still looking for him. Uzi's being tagged. Killer Instinct in hand. They're just keeping them from backing early on, and for JDG, forcing the pressure. They move into the jungle. They're going to move to the top side, and this is much more of a favorable trade.
And JD Gaming, they actually take the gold lead with that trade. They got a lot of extra gold in the bot side, and Zatai is playing a 1v4.
Call of the Forge God. How do you go through it? He gets kicked back. No chance, Clement. How does he play it? Well, he plays it from a gravestone here as the top turret is saved, but at the cost of his life.
Really smart play by JD Gaming. They keep the play going. RNG did not think that they were going to come back and defend this, so even after they got Zoom, there was multiple members to the rescue on that side.
But they just keep the tempo going. RNG never quit, and Zoom doesn't have the slicing Maelstrom, so he's not going to have his safety here. Karsa, yeah! That's as easy as that for a Rek'Sai.
Yeah, the Prey Seeker finds his target as Zoom falls down. He had 20 HP. Good job on observers highlighting that out. But the path that he had to take mean that he was a dead man.
RNG pushed forward with that set momentum. And JDG forced to respond again. Yagao trying to come in and lock on down a member, but the pick not as easy here for JDG. However, noting this, clearing out the mid lane turret, everything goes back to normal for 30 seconds until the next Infernal spawns.
Really smart on Zoom, holding on to his slicing Maelstrom because he's going to want it for the next Infernal Dragon coming in less than 20 seconds. RNG cannot let JD Gaming get it. Double Infernal is a death sentence. It doesn't matter what your scaling situation is after you get those Drakes. So both teams are trying to set up right here, and in these close corridors, Ornn can be such a menace. His ultimate cooldown is almost up. I think RNG are going to try to play the keep away game until they have Call of the Forge God back.
Oh, on that note though, Call of the Forge God, yeah, that's right. It's not up for, let's say, another 20 seconds. Weaver's Wall not available for Xiaohu as well. And we look at JDG, everything is now up and available. Dragon's Rage is what I'm looking at, as well as Yagao's Unleashed Power. Both just come up. 5 ultis versus 3, almost 4 for RNG.
Full flashes for basically both sides as well. Only Flawless missing, but he's a Lee Sin. He doesn't really need that. Now RNG has done a good job at buying time to get that ultimate. JD Gaming are in a very good position, but Leona can play a lot of zoning for this one. RNG, it almost feels like they need to go in right now. Ult is finally up.
Yeah, Xayah, let's go. Push the trigger. Level 9. The Dragon resets a little bit, but they're still going for it. JDG just going to get double Infernal at this rate. Flawless jumps in, they get it, but the fight for RNG is the Forge Rod finally comes in into Yagao. They disengage. LvMao flashes in. Soul Play to slow down 2 members. He gets the shield of Duran, but Zoom comes in with a slicing Maelstrom onto Uzi. Xayah gets ultied on by Imp, who flashes forward into the fight. They get the kick back, and Karsa has to ulti back in, but he's already dead. It's 3 versus 5, and JDG with a good root caller from Uzi will die in the process. RNG just got whopped in that one.
It's a double Infernal going over to Jingdong, and it's also 3 kills on their side. So well played on the initiation. I love what Imp did right there. RNG's composition is like an artillery piece. They go in on one direction, but what Imp did was he found the brush where they already had the control ward, and he let it loose. Kept on firing into the RNG composition without any return policy coming in from RNG. Now let's watch that fight again. The initial initiate was not that good for RNG. It was a little bit too deep, so they have to back out. LvMao sees the opportunity, goes in, and watch Imp as he finds the correct angle. The RNG does not have vision to chase down on him at that point, and Ming is going in, Karsa is going in, but the back line is being rained down upon from Imp on the sides.
The 80 carry matchup spicing up here in game number 1. Imp looking very good in playoffs so far, and I know there's a lot of people out there that would have been screaming that a lot of the casters, again, putting their bets onto RNG, but the way RNG's been playing is still just on a nice edge to a degree. And they're just getting outpaced, outclassed here in the early game by JDG after what was a very good recovery from Flawless, who's now 3-0-3, and Imp, who's been silently pacing his way towards this mid-game, now with the Storm Razors in hand.
That was a team fight win that was almost solely on Imp's shoulders, and we haven't seen this type of a performance that many times this split. Most of the times, JD Gaming still play around their front line as their star carries, but in that fight, LvMao kind of whiffed. Zoom only tagged Uzi in that fight just once. It was really Imp hiding around the corners and winning that team fight for RNG. So they are showing up that not only RNG has a playoff mode, Jingdong has it too.
They really do. All right, clearing out the mid-wave. Good start here from JDG. They continue forward, 2K in the gold lead. A triple Infernal on the cards this game for Jingdong and RNG. They let that one go away. They wanted to pick the fight instead. They absolutely cannot do that again for the third.
Now they did want to go for a catch, but Jingdong members were really smart. Flawless in the pit takes the Drake, and everyone else was already backing out. So there was no engage available for RNG in that fight. This is one of those instances where a pitch battle where both lines are well drawn and set up, you find RNG losing out on. RNG are the masters of setting these team fights down when both teams are face to face and you have time to draw out your battle plans. But JD Gaming actually came out trumps there. That was a massive tempo swinging fight to get the double Infernal and those kills.
So it continues on with JDG at this point looking very good in game number 1. Look at the difference in the bottom lane that has been silenced just a little bit. Observer just doesn't care anymore. He just throws this away. Yeah, never mind the score. I don't care about the score, but that's fine. But Imp, 20 CS within reach now, and Uzi had such a dominant lead. The fact that it hasn't grown any further is a good testament to Imp. And as we return back with the scoreboard, you look at Uzi's CS again. That's what's highlighting him this game. Along with those 2 kills and now 2 items with the rapid fire cannon for JDG. Still going to be careful of this Xayah Rakan duo.
And I think what this means for RNG's composition is that they're going to have a very hard time actually starting the fights and trying to win them, basically. They don't really have the instant burst potential, I would say, to go into JD Gaming. I think they're going to have to use most of their initiations actually to keep JD Gaming's threats away. If Zoom can get into the back line, that's instant death for Taliyah. There's nothing that Xiaohu can do in that situation. Same thing, LvMao can go in and Yagao can find a target. They can both flash and instantly peel someone off. So I actually feel like RNG need to play very defensive going up on the map.
They really do. Positioning around this Baron is going to have to be, you know, the next course of action. Was just noticing there in the play that the ward spotting out the potential flank or blind hero play here from JDG. Just around the side, enough vision to let them know They're not going to get the pick, which means good things for RNG here, considering that Dragon we talked about is 20 seconds away now. Very early Dragons, very big Dragons to be talked about. And RNG starting to position towards that bottom side as the minions clean out the top lane turret before Zoom can get there. Means Zoom is stuck here, but with teleport, ready for the fight to begin.
Here we go, round 3 for Infernal Drake. This is the best RNG we could possibly get in an RNG versus Jingdong game. And look at that ward down there. JD Gaming already pinging it out. They know what angle Zoom should take to get into this fight.
You find a scout of the week as you start things off for RNG, but they've begun onto the Infernal straight away. Xiaohu not going to let Floors anywhere nearby, and that's going to be secured. Karsa can get out of the pit as well. Third Infernal denied from JDG, and RNG pick up one themselves.
Yeah, and JD Gaming, I have to say, they did drop the ball a little bit. I felt like they could have put up a much stronger defense of that Infernal Drake. And Zoom didn't use his teleport. He actually stayed on the sides, try to come in from the front. But very good job by RNG equalizing that Infernal Drake lead. And that's a lot of pressure off their shoulders. You're looking at triple Infernal to none. That's a massive difference between just equalizing out the first one.
JDG heading towards Baron now, however, after trying to get the tempo advantage, leaving the Dragon behind. LvMao spotted out by a ward, and the clearance here from JDG has been sometimes lackluster, but mainly RNG getting very creative with their wards and have been so good with their early game vision in this game, number 1. And spotting out LvMao means no unnecessary risk. The Baron will not be started, and they know this. It's back to clearing the jungle, and that's what Karsa needs to do right now. He started falling behind the Lee Sin. Karsa at the moment is a level behind where he had that advantage earlier on.
RNG so far being able to slightly out-macro Jingdong. I think a big point of what they're using is getting the Taliyah into the side lanes. She's been able to push waves, while Yagao hasn't really been able to answer that. So they're using that vision control. They snowballed it into an Infernal. JD Gaming, I have to say it again, I felt like that was a very good opportunity to put the nail in the coffin against RNG with their gold lead they had with the double Infernal Drakes, but they did not get the engage. We're actually a bit slow on that play, and RNG now are sitting at actually an okay, comfortable position. They're only down 1k gold. They have a Xayah that they can play very well around. So I think it's a much more even game after that third Infernal bout.
Yeah, 2-item Taliyah there for Xiaohu as well. Level 13 now, and Weaver's Wall going to have that extra level, of course, after 11. So we look at now, okay, Taliyah's able to roam. Taliyah has a lot of shove in these lanes, and the lane control, rather side lane control that we've seen sometimes lackluster from other teams in the LPL is there now as well. Easy shove up that Yagao has to respond, and we know what we say about Syndra's in the side lane and how sometimes it's just not what you want. JDG having to use that around the Baron side.
Syndra's one of those champions, if you don't have a solid lead early that can snowball into map control, then you often find yourself just wandering the map when other teams go for the 1-3-1. Syndra has no mobility whatsoever, so if you can't burst out the jungler, they can very easily just target you and hunt you down for kills. And that's why Taliyah, even though she was behind most of this time, is able to roam the map better than, say, the pick from Yagao.
Yep. I mean, Taliyah is ahead as well in this matchup, half an item ahead of that. RNG is being given this turret, however. JDG backing off, being out-rotated, and RNG now more control of the map to them, but the cost could be the top lane as Floors has put himself in this side lane, knocks it on down with a couple of fist strikes, and that'll be all outer turrets being disintegrated here.
And this is just the craftiness from RNG, the experience and the tenacity showcasing here. You can see that the Colonel still has JD Gaming winning this match by 64%. However, it is ticking over to RNG's side.
Colonel, again, you know, a lot of question marks for that man. He's a cheeky devil.
Definitely is.
I haven't been to Kentucky, but I'll tell you one thing that I've learned from all the people that have. Chicken down there is better than anywhere else in the world. I'll tell you one more thing as well. The chicken actually in China is very, very good.
Oh yeah, the quality control here is it's much better than I had in the States.
I don't know where I was going with this. I've just got very hungry very fast. And I'm kind of hungry for some action here. That's the biggest thing, is 12 kills, 26 minutes. Not what you'd expect from a team like RNG, from a team like JDG, the way the last series went. But we're here now, and we're looking at a potential trade-off. RNG, not near the Baron, but Karsa needs to get in.
Yeah, can they actually find the steal right here? Karsa does have the
Oh,
flash.
finally engaged there onto LvMao while they continue doing Baron. LvMao going to get locked up from the back of the pin. Yagao flashes over, slicing mouse from there as well, but Karsa goes gold. While the Baron goes over to JDG, Xayah gets a perfect call, the Forge God in the pit. Imp turns on him. He doesn't get the knock up there with the searing charge, so Xayah drops on down. Xiaohu with the Weaver's Wall, but a messy fight all over. Uzi and Ming get tagged up, but Imp still has killer instinct, but, or rather the ultimate available, but Imp just backs away.
Such a sneaky play coming in from Jingdong Gaming. RNG were honestly caught off by surprise. You could see their engages were very uncoordinated. The Call of the Forge God was actually sent towards the Baron pit to try and stop that and allow the steal to go in. When that didn't happen, the top side also looked a bit haphazard. We saw the Weaver's Wall go down, actually locking Uzi and Ming on the side, which I'm not sure they actually wanted to be on, especially with Killer Instinct up for Imp. So that was one of the situations where Jingdong, with the aggression, the rush, go back!
Get back! Who cares about the Baron? What just happened? Imp ulted
Did he
anyway.
get someone?
No.
I think he got
Holy.
But just to watch that fight again, you can see RNG members actually going in late. This was great play from Yagao to go in and finish off the targets, especially the Rek'Sai, to make sure that there was going to be no steal going through. And watch the Tide's position. Uzi and Ming are stuck up there. They're like, where do we go? We don't really want to be here. Can you free us from the Weaver's Wall? Please, don't build walls. Build bridges, is what they're saying to Xiaohu, but that doesn't happen.
Make war, not peace, apparently. 3 items on Uzi as well. Him getting into that fight was a big part of JDG getting thwarted, especially with the Infinity Edge now in hand, but Imp does the exact same thing. 3 items here, Lifeline passive onto the Phantom Dancer. Means that Imp's going to have a bit more safety here as well. It is really about the 80 carries here in this first game. Nicely set up with JDG having a just about 4k gold lead and the Baron buff now. RNG are going to rely on that. You rely maybe on Ming, who looks for the knockup and gets there a little bit slower. Uzi's still in the backline. We have Ming deleted before. Now Uzi's still here. Or Dow just joins the slicing maelstrom from Zoom to find the flank into the fight. Uzi left lonesome as Flawless just cripples him, takes him down. Too easy here for JDG. Xayah has to run away as well. And everyone from RNG deleted as JDG pressed forward.
4 for 1 from RNG. Ming actually was a little bit slow on the trigger. Once he popped the quickness, he didn't find a correct target, so it gave a lot of time for JD Gaming to actually react, and they didn't have vision over the wall. Imp was waiting right there for it, and with Yagao being targeted down, he was left to free fire on the rest of RNG.
They want to end here. Karsa's up in 10, Ming in 1, maybe they can. Xayah left it a turret. I didn't think for JDG they'd take this to the series. Finds a knockup onto LvMao. They're still hitting the turrets with him, wants to end the game. Ming's got to do something, so does Xayah. Killer Instinct pop. JDG looking for the end. They might just find it, and they will. The Nexus goes down, and JDG strike first again.
29 minutes on the dot. They finished the game in commanding fashion. The most important thing for me is JD Gaming know how to team fight. They can actually take it to RNG, and in all of those Dragon fights, they came out the victor. RNG, they were able to survive and sneak away with the macro game, with the vision and the pushing side lanes, but JD Gaming, once again, it's all about the surprise factor for them. This is how the matchup has gone, and this is why JD Gaming are the kryptonite for Royal Never Give Up.
I'll tell you right now, I did say 3-2 for this series, so all hope's not lost yet, but it was a one fight, or maybe the progressive fight, I should say, that just led JDG to victory.
Yeah, I think a lot of it did come down to just the show that Imp actually brought on. We didn't think that he was going to be the real star carry of the playoffs for JD Gaming, but after being on LGD for so long and having little success, maybe he's finally woken up. He's thought about the former glory that he has had, especially against an opponent like Uzi.
Yeah, that's right. Remember, we said it was the playoff matchup return after 4 years' time, and good to see that Imp finds so much success and Imp finds so much stability here in this very first game. Caught me by surprise. I mean, that fight just led one thing to another, and JDG stuck to their guns. They stuck to the end, and that's what they got through.
Yeah, and this is really just this is an easy game to break down because most of it does come down to the actual contact between the two teams. All the team fights really decided where this game was going, and it's really rare to see RNG actually falter at that phase in the game. Team fights is what they're known for. They're known for being the team that sets up their compositions, they find the correct engages and just go in on it. But that game was uncharacteristic for them. I feel like they needed to use their engage tools as a secondary option. They needed to do the counter engage rather than forcing the engages themselves. And the last one was was so far away from a successful engage that it was kind of questionable on their end. That's one of the worst tried and comeback fights that I've seen RNG try to throw.
I mean, that's very fair. RNG were in such a good position in that game, and Uzi was towards the 3-4 item mark as a Xayah that had such a good laning phase. Uzi and Ming were in very good positions there, but for RNG, it felt very disjointed from the RNG we know and love.
Yeah, it definitely did, and I think a lot of it does come down to the fact that JD Gaming understand the matchup so well. I really think Coach Home has done a masterful job in retooling this team's chances come playoffs. JD Gaming in 2018, they were known as the Hail Mary team. It's if you just ban away their Zoe, they go like, what do I pick here? How about Blitzcrank? Let's try that. So they had that a bit of a stain on their playoff record, but now with Coach Home, I think he really understands where his team is better matched up against RNG. Going for the very confident blind pick in the Syndra, going for the lane counter in the top side with the Kennen. Those were very surprising factors for me because they actually showed these picks blind and RNG did not respond to them whatsoever.
Yeah, that's right, but they did get some strong blind picks themselves. It wasn't enough there for RNG. Game 1 opens up again. Are you sweating bullets? Well,
I am.
I think we are. Let's find out what happens in Game 2 right after this.
而且现在是什么？现在是卢锡安这个人生巅峰的一波，4件套出无尽的4件套。
现在他都不如这个Nico了，Nico也4件套了。这Nico现在那一波3杀，直接打没了。又要开厂长，上这边有金身的，金身开一下，但是意识呢没开。这里的话，卢锡安打一套好像效果一般。
别废话了。
这边神枪洗礼把对方逼退，这里死哥直接毒大招 ，Echo
漂亮，
被炸死了。卢锡安这2下点的很漂亮，
这一波真的是 Hope 拯救了。
但是这里打另一炮要追，卢锡安一往无前往前冲，
漂亮，
这边败了还要追，拿下一个 double kill， 这边还可以追吗？
有没有人让后？瑞兹这里是没有闪现的，没有 TP 的，
小五只能卖自己了。这一波 Hope 打得很果断，
哇，这一波全靠卢锡安啊，
很有胆识。
这个就是卢锡安最强的一波，他很清楚知道这一点。
你惹了不该惹的人。
他们叫我左一。
Apple 这波关还不错，哎，这叫一个 lock 没办法过，有闪现闪过去，被赶紧吞回来。刚刚应该是想要留一个闪现，看俄强能不能塔姆吞。
准备好送死吧！
有 TP 起点，苏宁这波要炸了。这船长下来，
筒子直接炸死，左一的伤害带走鳄鱼，再一个飞星拿掉皇子，奈特如无人之境往前追，闪现躲沿途想杀 SOAT， 一个 R 技能贴到脸上 ，triple kill， 奈特这一波左一杀疯了呀！
这局感觉要炸了，这波打完这局就炸了。
原来你喜欢这么玩吗？均衡，出乎万物之境。
哇！刚才这边 Mistake 直接被维鲁斯一个大招，结尾这个大招已经给到了韩明了，吐出来之后恐怕要受到那一下爆炸的伤害了。
我们上吧，他们的最后时刻要来临了。收到了。
旁边海南一个闪现进场，5雷轰顶，直接瞬间融化2个人，先砍下一波 triple kill，
要利用好暗影。
像我这么帅的，一般都是主角哦。
我打得好快啊，好快，真的好快，好没了。
目标已捕获。
这波可能要直接 rush 了，两边要接大龙团了。哎呦，
哎呦，一雷砍到了！我的天哪！哇，这一波
教主抢到大龙啊！
而且转头还把 AJ 给收掉了，
全凭技术。
他们要逃命了。
3条线吧，3条线 IG 的补刀都是领先的。是的。
上路这个他这线打的也太细了吧？
要给大了吗？我看一下啊，在拉斯给大了，这是假的，
都给大了。 一个山寨版的，一个正版的。
哎，但是这波盲僧在，看他的眼睛闪现，不会这个，
但是球了，好了，就被拉断了。但是手上这边
有猪可以来了，但是这边直接砸死了姿态。
以我者亡。
哎呦，没有，在空中这一波他的跳跃太过分了。
我来看看你有什么本领。
而且还能再打的这个球，有点低，完了，中场也要炸了。
敌王绕柱打不